Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen nabiyyina Muhammadi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'du, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I keep getting streaming problems with my internet. I do not understand what the reason is. I know many people do say that when they do try to watch this live, there's lots of streaming problems, so they watch it when it's recorded. I don't know what the problem is. It may be that I've got too many apps open on my laptop. Allahu A'lam. Let's hope it works well now. Khair. We are on the last episode of the Hajj series that we've been running on Fiqhour. Week 5 we're on, 4th of June. And as I was saying before I was interrupted in that the internet disappeared, it is obviously the 8th of Dhul Hijjah today. And being the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, it will be evening in and around the Haram, in and around Mecca. And therefore, people will be in Mina, in the city of the tents, and they will leave after Fajr, if memory serves me well, on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, inshallah, making their way across to Arafat. And then tomorrow will obviously be the day of Hajj. And then that will lead on to Yawmun Nahar, which is our Eid day on the 10th, which is Friday. Also, tomorrow after Fajr, we will start our Takbir Tashriq. So please do bear that in mind, that if you are praying, then after the Fard Salah, you say Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Wallahu Akbar, Walillahi alhamd. Once will suffice. Men should make sure that they recite it audibly, whether in Jama'ah or praying individually. Women should most definitely say it inaudibly, very low, if they are in a congregation where there will be men there, which is highly unlikely. And if they're praying at home, obviously audible enough to reach their ears, but it doesn't have to be excessively loud. Okay, that was a ritual set, and now it continues. So before, obviously, in the Masjid Nabwi, the women would pray in the safs at the back and the men would pray at the front. Now, obviously, we tend to have separate facilities for males and females, but because it's a ritual act, we maintain that ritual order. I expect today is going to be fairly quiet on the Fiqh Hour. Reason being is that all the matters of Hajj are being dealt with. People, as I said, are already in Hajj now, performing Hajj. So there's going to be nothing pretty much coming from there. Also, all those questions which were due for Qurbani, they've also been answered as well. There were a few outstanding questions that I will turn my attention to. And then obviously we will move on. Let me send a message. So which questions do we have? Let me go to the chat that I sent them to. Okay, so the first one we have, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is Qurbani wajib on a musafir? Okay, now Qurbani has certain conditions that make it wajib upon people, and one of those conditions are that this person be a resident. Okay, that this person be a resident, and therefore if a person is a musafir, then it is not compulsory on him. Next question. When performing Hajj, Mustahaj Mustahaji Mustahaji doing tamattu slaughter 2 animals, one for Hajj and one for Udhiyah. Okay, so we've already explained previously that the person who is performing Hajj requires to perform the slaughtering of a Hadiyah. Why? Because it's more of a thanksgiving that he was given the opportunity to perform Umrah with his Hajj. Okay, so he was given the opportunity to perform Umrah with his Hajj. For that reason, he takes an animal, a Hadiyah, and that animal is slaughtered. He doesn't necessarily have to slaughter an udhiyah if he is a musafir, as we said in the question earlier. Therefore, most likely the person who has traveled for Hajj will be a musafir. And because he or she is a musafir, then there is no udhiyah due upon him. Okay? There's no udhiyah due upon him. Another question, I think, or another interesting fact, whether you find it interesting or not, I don't know, but I will share it with you anyway, is where does the name Udhiyah come from? Now, if you look at the word udhiyya, is dhahaya, and dhahaya is also mentioned in wadduha. Okay, duha, and duha is also a salah, a nafal salah, which is performed and referred to as the pre-noon salah, and it can take place between sort of 9 a.m. Up to about 11:30 a.m. So the reason why this is called udhiyya, okay, is because we slaughter an animal at that time. It is after Fajr Salah and between those kind of hours. That's where it gets its name from. One other question that we have received is, Assalamu alaikum, who did the first ever Qurbani? That's an interesting question. Who did the first ever Qurbani? Many of the time people will say, oh, the first ever Qurbani was performed by Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, and they'll narrate to us the story of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam taking his son Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam and attempting to slaughter him. And when he attempts to slaughter him, then a ram is brought down. And when the ram is brought down, then the instruction given to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam is to slaughter the ram instead of obviously his son Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam. So many people think, that was the first Qurbani, but that's not correct. The first Qurbani actually took place before. So when you say that, then people think, oh, okay, before Ibrahim alayhi salam, I can't think of anything. Well, it happened at the time of the two sons of Adam alayhi salatu salam, Habil and Qabil. Okay, so Habil and Qabil, we won't go into all the story of what the issue was over. They both made a Qurban. Okay, they both made an offering. They both made a sacrifice in order to draw close to Allah. What Habil did was he took his most choicest and largest animal from his flock of sheep and slaughtered that and offered that to Allah. What Qabil did was he took his most useless crops, which he had little use for, and he placed that for acceptance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted Habil's offering, which obviously angered Qabil, and we had the first murder where Qabil kills Habil, Cain kills Abel, as we hear in the Jewish and Christian narrative. And that's where it all stems from. Well, anyway, the story that, although the lesson we can take from there is that when we are offering our Qurbani to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then, we have a habit, don't we, that we look at all the charities and kind of scan down until we get to the lowest price possible. And when we get to the lowest price possible, we select that animal. One shouldn't do that. Of course, one should stay within their financial means. That if a person is struggling financially, and obviously the Qurban becomes wajib upon them, but they're still struggling, then they may choose a smaller animal, or rather choose an animal from a country which is quite cheap to buy the animal from in order to fulfill the wujub, but at the same time not pay too much. For other people who are quite wealthy, obviously they can pay more and they should pay more, like we demonstrated with the example of Habil and Qabil, the two sons of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. So that was the first ever Qurban done ever. Okay, so that's that question. I think that's the questions that have come in so far on that point. There was one question which came in on the Markaz al-Ifta wal-Qāḍī, so I'll quickly go to that, which was an interesting question. The question was, Assalamu alaikum Mufti, how is it that moon sighting in UK is suddenly aligning with what are referred to as the discredited sightings of Saudi Arabia, but not with those of countries like Morocco and South Africa, the long-standing partners of Wifaq al-Ulama? I think the question that we need to, walaikum salam, I think the question we need to ask there is, how is it that Saudi Arabia has come in line with the UK? Because the UK is many hours after Saudi Arabia, and it's not in line with it whatsoever. So I think that's the question that needs to ask. I don't think Wifaq al-Ulama go and try to align with any country or try to not align, misalign with any country. That's not the purpose. I think, this the questioner asked a similar question previously, that there seems to be some kind of motivation or some kind of procedure where Wifaq al-Ulama are trying to do something or not trying to do something. Wifaq al-Ulama have a very simple criteria, okay, a very simple criterion, and that is to cite locally. That's its very simple criterion. Cite locally, irrespective of what happens in Morocco, irrespective of what happens in South Africa, irrespective of what happens in Saudi Arabia or anywhere else on the planet. And that should really be any Hilal Declaration Committee procedure, because at the end of the day, we're in the UK. And when we're in the UK, we should cite it in the UK. So that's what they do. If on the chance that they don't cite in the UK, then this could be one of two reasons. One reason could be that it's not possible to cite. Fair enough. Okay. And that's simple. Or the second one could be that it was possible to cite, but because of the exceptionally high cloud cover we get, generally speaking, and secondly, because of the lack of citers that go out to try to cite the Hilal, in that we're trying our very best to encourage and motivate and place enthusiasm in people to go out into these various locations in order to cite it, then it might be that we miss an actual sighting. Okay. So in order to avoid missing an actual sighting, we go to the nearest Muslim country, and that's where Morocco comes in. So again, I reiterate, there is no intention to align with a particular country, and there is no intention to misalign with a particular country. It is not always the case that it is cited in the UK and it is cited in Morocco. And it's not always the case that it is cited in Morocco and it's cited in the UK. So it's not, so I think there's just a misunderstanding there. I hope that I've cleared that misunderstanding. Okay. One question which has come through here is, could you please explain if there are any special instructions for the Jummah Salah on an Eid day? Okay, not that I can recall from memory that there is any special instructions whatsoever. We know that there are some positions or a position in a particular madhab in which we have to recall that Eid Salah used to be performed outside of the particular town or particular city, that people would travel out and go to what was referred to as the Eidgah in Persian, but go to a place where they could pray Eid Salah. And this was out in the public, and everybody would go. Okay, the women, the men, even women who weren't required to pray would go. And this would be, everybody would gather, and the Muslims would perform Eid Salah, and then they would return. So it would take some time to get there, and it would take some time to go back. So whenever Eid fell on, particularly say on Yom al-Jum'ah, then there are two occasions where the Muslims had to get together. One is for Jummah Salah, and again, one is for Eid Salah. So if Eid Salah, which is normally taking place after Fajr, okay, the people en masse would go all the way out, they would pray their Eid Salah, and then they would come all the way back. And then within an hour or so, they would, maybe even not an hour or so, half an hour or so later, they would go all the way out to pray Jummah Salah and then come all the way back. So there is a position in which the Salah can be prayed a little bit earlier than what would be normal in order to avoid this coming and going. Within the Hanafi school, as memory serves me well, I've not looked at the mas'ala for some time now, so I'm relying completely on memory. If memory serves me well, there is no exceptional circumstances or any specific instructions that one should adopt. I don't think there's anything else. Let me just quickly check on the ladies group. Just whilst I'm talking, obviously the Takbir Tashriq will carry on for the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, which is from tomorrow Fajr all the way till the 9th of June, which is the 13th of Dhul Hijjah, Asr time. So once after each Salah, so put that in your memory from now. Tomorrow morning, Fajr time, tomorrow Thursday, the 5th of June, from Fajr time after the Fard. If you forget it, then and a time elapses where you've left, then it's gone. But if it's within a short period of time, then one can do so. There was some questions and some particular masail which were posted with it. So you can locate those particular masail in order to benefit you. Let me see if I can add anything. There's been some conversation, where did the name Takbirut Tashriq come from? The name Takbirut Tashriq has numerous narratives. One which we can adopt in particular is that this is when the meat was, as it's called, jerked, which is cut into strips and laid out in the sun for it to burn. Again, somebody may say, but we don't do it. We don't do Qurbani on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. So why is that a day of Tashriq? So it doesn't always fit perfectly, but it is what it is. Okay. Right, let me see if there's any other nuggets of gold I could share with you. I've already told you that it's one time that it would be recited. I've already told you what the Takbir Tashriq is. I've already told you the manner in which you would recite Takbir Tashriq. What if one performs a Qadha Salah in these days? So if I'm performing a Qadha Salah, do I also make Takbir Tashriq? So the answer is, the only scenario in which you would recite Takbir Tashriq after a Qadha Salah is when the Salah was made Qadha from the days of Tashriq, meaning it is a Qadha Salah from the days of Tashriq and you're making it up in the days of Tashriq. Then you would say the Takbir Tashriq. Otherwise, you would not. Okay. We've given you the days when it would start and when it would stop. So that's already been told. Is it impermissible to cut hair or grow nails in the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah? I appreciate that's a little bit late for some people. It's not impermissible, so that's the good news. There is a position in which it is mustahab to do so, but it's not a requirement. Okay. That covers that. So there's no other questions here. Let me now see if there's anything else that has come on any of the groups, not that I can see. So alhamdulillah, I think that covers all the questions. So we'll just wait a minute or two for some questions to appear on our live feed. I wasn't expecting much today. I said that to the family as well. I said, I think it's going to be a short fiqh hour, as my wife calls it, fiqh minutes. So I think we're going to be on fiqh minutes, but I'll give another 20 seconds or 30 seconds. I will say, inshallah, from everybody here at fiqh hour, we wish you the very best of Eid. It is a great blessing, alhamdulillah, that all communities are together in the UK. And it would be good if all of us were on local sighting, because then that would mean that we would all celebrate Eid together. That's the only way we're going to get the community on one page, is if we all go by UK sighting only. And that's what Wifaq Ulama are attempting to do. But at the same time, they're trying to maintain and move the community with them rather than abandon the community and go at pace. So inshallah, I hope that fits in nicely with everyone's Eid celebrations. Similarly, we are in the blessed 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. We know from the Quran, wal fajr wa layalin ashr wa shafi wal watr, yani wa layalin ashr. Which 10 days or 10 nights is this in reference to? This is in reference to the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. So obviously we are currently on the 7th of Dhul Hijjah, or is it the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. I just mentioned it earlier. My Apple device is always a day behind. So we're on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, alhamdulillah. So well into the 10 days. Only got 2 more days. So push that tilawatul Quran that little bit more. So at least you can finish Khatm al-Quran in these next couple of days. Any nawafil, continue with them. Any dhikr, continue with that. Focus, give it your all, inshallah. May Allah accept. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all our efforts that we make in these 10 days. And also, those of you performing Qurbani, make sure that it gets done. Have it booked. Obviously, we do here within at Olive Lantern Trust. Also are doing Qurbani. Today is the last day that we will be accepting orders, inshallah. Go to olivelanterntrust.com if you wish to do your Qurbani. Tonight, as I said, is the last day. We won't be taking any more orders after that. And inshallah, and let's see how it comes. With regards to fiqh hour, okay, we're going to take a short break. In that, obviously, Eid is coming up now, and then I've got a few appointments in the next couple of weeks, and due to the next couple of appointments in the next couple of weeks, and then I'm away in Canada for the last week of this month. And then inshallah we'll probably return with fiqh hour in the next month, July. It gives us a few weeks to gather some questions. If you do have questions and you wish to place them into your the group. The group is let me find the group's name for you. If you go to the Telegram channel, so if you go to the Telegram channel or Telegram group rather, and then you go to Markaz al-Ifta, okay, and where are we? Markaz al-Ifta, where are we? Gents, there we are. So if you go to the Gents group, it's t.me, which is, I guess, standard for Telegram, /Markaz al-Ifta, MARKAZ ALIFTA. So MARKAZALIFTA. Join that. That's got all the questions on there. So you can place your questions on there. And for the ladies group, it's a bit more complicated. We will have to share the link with that group, so you can get your details there. Put your questions on there, inshallah, and yeah, put your details on there, and then inshallah put your questions on there. And then once we gather the questions, then we will inshallah be able to put on another fiqh hour for you, inshallah. Why is a sacrifice for the called a hadiyah and not udhiyah? Can a haji eat from his hadiyah? Hadiyah is an animal that you're bringing as thanksgiving. And this is because you've been given the opportunity to be able to to be able to perform umrah. Okay, so because you've taken benefit, yani tamattu or qiran, and because you've taken benefit from there, then as a consequence, when you bring that animal over, that's your thanksgiving. Okay, it becomes wajib, obviously, on the person who is performing qiran, on the one who is performing tamattu, not for the person who's doing ifrad. Okay, so for those two people, it becomes wajib. Udhiyah, as I mentioned, is wajib upon a person who has nisab. So the performing umrah has got nothing to do with it. It's when a person has nisab. Again, we can discuss whether it's got to be silver or gold nisab. But when a person has nisab and is considered as a ghani, is rich, like for zakat purposes, then he also has to give udhiyah. And I mentioned there, like what duha. That's the name it comes from because of the fact that you slaughter it between sort of 9 and 11, half 11, meaning that's usual. But unfortunately, nowadays, obviously, in the commercial world we live in, this is very rare that you get a chance to do so. Can a haji eat from his hadiyah? No, he wouldn't eat from his hadiyah because that is a thanksgiving and that will go to the fuqara. It used to just get buried in the ground, but nowadays they're trying to make a tin packing factory close by. So those animals then are immediately sent to the tin packing factory and then they can be tinned and sent out to the poor. In the khutbah of Eid al-Adha, how many times should the takbīrs be read out aloud, if any at all? I've not come from memory. I've not come from across any tradition which stipulates that you should read a certain amount of takbīrs. I think this is normally the khutbah that has been passed on from the pious predecessors, and people read them themselves. There is no stipulation that I have seen in any hadith from memory that says you need to do X amount. Obviously, we should be doing takbir because obviously this is a gracious and great time, but there's no necessarily a limit or extent to that quantity. Okay, so inshallah, if nothing pops up now, we're just going to say, please do share these fiqh hours with others so they benefit from it. We will take a short break, 2-3 weeks. We'll return probably first week in July, inshallah. And when we return the first week in July, then we will look at fiqh hour again. Please do search for the Telegram groups, Markaz al-Ifta wal Qāḍī. Place your questions on there. When I see that there is a substantial amount of questions on there, then what I will do is I will then run a fiqh hour. It's going to be on a kind of a supply and demand structure moving forward, because as we had in the past, sometimes holding them when there's not that many questions gathered, it's just not good use of my time or good use of your time, inshallah. But jazakallah khairan. Again, I wish you the best of Eid, and I look forward to seeing you all again, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.